listening to the Motherhood Experience, a podcast where you are a part of the conversation with moms, for moms, and by moms. Let's jump into this episode with me, your host, Val Kleppen. Well, hello and welcome back to the Motherhood Experience podcast. Today, I am joined by my guest, Shellee Howard. Shellee has an amazing story of helping her children get into Ivy League colleges debt-free and how she uses her experience in that to help others do the same today. It was a fascinating conversation. I really appreciated hearing Shellee's perspective on college, but not only her perspective, but the importance and the timeline and all of the details that some of us as moms don't even want to let ourselves think about as we are raising our children through grade school, middle school, and into that early high school years. This is an episode you're going to want to take notes on. Be sure to head to the show notes as well, where you can find the links to find Shellee, follow up with her. She has a special offer for the Motherhood Experience listeners that you can hear more about in the episode, where you can receive a 30-minute consultation with her. And before I forget, please make sure to subscribe to the Motherhood Experience wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. Every review that we are left, 5 stars in particular, helps us to get in front of more moms. And it's because of listeners like you that this podcast is the success it is today. So thank you in advance for that. And now I am pleased to introduce you listeners to my guest, Shellee Howard. Shellee, so glad to have you joining me on the Motherhood Experience podcast. Welcome to the show.
I am looking forward to chatting with you and seeing how I can support you and your listeners.
Yes, let's get right into that. How about we start with ages of kids and stage of motherhood you're in?
Oh, so much fun. I've enjoyed every stage, but right now is my favorite stage. So my oldest is 31. He is now an orthopedic surgeon and getting married in 2026. I have 4. My next is my first daughter, and she is 27, and she is a pediatric emergency room nurse, and she's getting married next year. So yes, I have 2 weddings in 1 year.
Wow.
And then my stepson is 22 and my stepdaughter is 21. And they both have graduated from college and are now entering their professions. So I am truly an empty nester. And it is amazing because I have no regrets. I loved every bit of their upbringing.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So that's quite the story already. I want to peel back some layers here. Growing up, Shellee, were you the type of girl who loved to play house? Were you all about like being the project leader, team leader? What was kind of your personality?
Oh, what a fun question. Nobody's ever asked me. I'm thinking, because back in the day, we would play on our street until the lights came on. So what was my role in all of that? I think I was the organizer. I would go house to house and I'm like, hey guys, it's time. Like, let's do something. And I'm still the organizer. I have traveled to I'm up to 140 countries. And I'm trying to get people to come on trips with me all the time and play with me. So I'm still that person.
Oh, wow. So where do you hail from right now?
I currently live in Southern California.
Okay.
I am a 5th generation Southern Californian. And so part of me, I don't think will ever leave. But I will tell you, my heart is in Italy with my Italian exchange daughter. My heart is in Africa with the school that I've built there. I really have lots of places I could call home, but as right now, the home I pay the mortgage on is in California.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't know that, but I would have guessed that because I also grew up in California.
Okay.
And there's just Southern California in particular is where a lot of my relatives are. And when you talk, there's just a dialect and you sound like my Southern California relatives.
Interesting. I never knew we had a dialect. That's fascinating.
I know. I never did either until I moved to Wyoming. When I was 12 years old when we moved to Wyoming, and people said that I talk differently. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way. But it's very subtle, but it's there. And I can pick as soon as you started talking when we got on, I was like, "Oh, yeah, she sounds like my Southern California family."
Well, hopefully that's a good thing and you love
That's a
them a
great
lot.
thing. That's a great thing. Oh, wow. So I love that too, being from a day and age where you just play until there's no time left to play anymore. That
Mm.
was the best growing up. So when you started a family, Shellee, did you have any idea, being the organizer that you were, that I'm gonna have a boy and a girl, I'm gonna have 2 kids, and we're gonna do this and that and live here and there? Was that kind of your expectation of motherhood?
Oh my, you nailed it spot on. Yes. I remember going into the doctor with a birth plan and he laughing at me. So yes, I knew when I wanted my first, I wanted a boy first, and then I knew when I wanted my girl. And so yes, I very much had it all planned out. And then of course, it never quite goes exactly how you plan it, but it has been a blessing regardless.
Yeah. So what was motherhood like for you? Now, I noticed that you said you have a stepdaughter and a stepson, so there's
Mhm.
a remarriage in there somewhere.
Sure.
So what was motherhood like in the early years, those early stages?
I I loved my job. And so I never planned on staying home to be a stay-at-home mom. I think those women are amazing. Don't get me wrong. I just the same way I knew I couldn't be a homeschooler, like I think you all are amazing people. I just don't seem to have that layer of deep patience that one would have to do that. And so when they were little, I really tried to blend work and family. Like nobody knew that I was doing it all. It just was really important to me that I could still have my career and that my kids never missed a minute. And so it worked. My kids still believe that I didn't work while they were growing up. And lo and behold, I worked the entire time. So I would say the early years, the challenges were there was no directions. They didn't come with directions. And so the organizer in me was like, how do I plan for when they eat? How do I plan for when they sleep? And I had a wonderful friend give me a book and audio, and it was exactly what I wanted, how to plan for your child to eat, sleep, and how to plan. And wow, once I found that plan, life was so easy. But without the plan, I struggled a bit.
So has that kind of been a motivating factor for you in every facet of life, just because, so as a child you were the organizer, you had the exact plan for what you wanted to enter into motherhood, you loved your career, like has that always been the motivation behind it? Like, you know what you want, you know what it looks like, you have the vision for it, and so that's what you pursue.
I would say 110%. I was raised by two entrepreneurs who raised me to believe that anything is truly possible. And if you doubt that, you're only doubting yourself. And so for me, it was very easy to step into a visionary role and one of, well, if I don't do it, who's going to do it?
Mm,
Or if I don't do it, what am I going to miss out on?
mm,
And so for me as a mom, I loved every stage. People talk about, oh, once they hit this, I love teenagers. I think they're the most amazing people on the earth. And other people think I'm totally losing my mind. So I say each stage I really embraced and I had a plan for what I wanted out of it. And luckily, my kids were willing to participate, I guess.
yeah. So you had a boy, you had a girl, you were still working, but was it kind of the, picture perfect image that you had in mind when you first imagined wanting to have your son first and then a daughter, and did
Yeah.
it play out like that?
It really did. My son is 4 years older, and he took on the big brother role wholeheartedly. He would read to her when she was fussy. He would hold her binky in on car rides. I still have pictures of them in the bathtub where he's like washing her hair. Like he really was and still is the very best friend of my daughter. And
Yeah.
so I would say 110%. I got very fortunate. He came out a very mature young man.
Hmm. what age were they? And I'm I'm just going to be blunt because I don't want to make any assumptions. But
Sure.
was it a divorce? Was it
Yes.
widowhood? Was it okay?
No, we were married 28 years, and my ex-husband decided that the grass was greener somewhere else,
Ah,
and found out later that it wasn't, but it was too late.
yeah,
And the world was shocked because on the outside, we looked like we had the perfect family. And in my mind, we did.
yeah,
So, it was one of those things that happened to me. And at the time, I wasn't sure why. But I can look back now that I'm remarried to a wonderful man and have two wonderful stepchildren that, wow, marriage can be really amazing with the right person. So, it wasn't my choice, but it was a beautiful outcome of a decision that somebody else made for me.
yeah. So 28 years, your kids were grown when this
Yes,
happened?
my son was just about ready to leave for Harvard.
Mm, oh, wow. Okay. So, what was it like then with older kids navigating through the upturned apple cart, as it were,
Yeah.
and now you're a single mom, but your kids are grown, but like you can take the kids out of the home, but you'll never take the mom
Mm,
out of anything.
yeah.
What were you going through in those days?
So I would say prior to learning about the affair, my kids and I have always been close. We could talk about anything. I mean, I read them stories until they could read me stories. Like we've always just had very good, open communication, quality time. And so I think it shocked the three of us equally. And we got closer. Like we
Mm,
huddled in and took care of each other and really made sure that we were all well cared for. My daughter and I made sure my son left for college and that we were going to be just fine. And so my kids, I think they did it in such a mature way that I almost felt they were caring for me instead of me caring for them.
oh, wow.
It was a beautiful thing. And my two were still very, very close. And I don't know if that made us closer or not, but it did help solidify that the three of us will never be apart. And I feel so fortunate that I've had that from day one. I believe their father was a little bit jealous because he didn't have the same experience
Hmm.
with the kids, and maybe that might have been part of it. You get out of it what you put into it is the way I like to put it. And I put 110% in, and man, I'm reaping the benefits now.
Yeah. And did you have any job changes? Did you have to do any other like major life altering changes in that same season?
Well, as an entrepreneur, so right out of college, I started with Procter and Gamble. And I was a sales manager and I traveled a ton, had kids and went, "Oh my, now there's a problem because who's going to watch the kids?" And so at that point, I made my first big transition and I started my second business. And it was wonderful because I was a professional photographer, which meant I could be at every one of my child's events and take pictures of them and their friends and still make money while doing it. So again, they never realized that I was
Right.
blending the two. And so I rode that wave. It was beautiful until the iPhone came out about the same time my son left for college and my husband left for another life. And so at that time, my son said, "Mom, why don't you help people the way you just helped me get into college?" He's like, "Tina, my friends love you. Like, why wouldn't you do this for other people? I got into 7 full ride offers. I'm going to Harvard for free, Mom. Why don't you help other people?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know." And so I went back to school and I got my master's from UC San Diego. And then I became a certified independent college consultant from UC San Diego. And I was fortunate that people really wanted help from somebody who got their kid into 7 full ride offers. And so it really came and sat in my lap. And all I had to do was just get the knowledge to be able to help all kinds of families. And now I'm going on my 18th year of college ready. And it really started with my son saying, Mom, why don't you do this for other people?
Oh, wow. That's a testament in itself also because it shows that not only did your son trust you, but he trusted you enough to lend your skill set out to other people. Like he wasn't going to be embarrassed or ashamed by referring his own mom.
For sure.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. So both of your children now are in the medical field,
Yes.
which is a demanding field, not only in the work itself, but in the schooling to get there. What was the motivation for your kids to pursue these career paths, and what was your role in cheering them on in it?
The cheering them on part was fun and easy, right? I'm like, what do you want to do? Let's just do it. And luckily, my son knew very early on. He knew in eighth grade exactly that he wanted to be a brain surgeon and he wanted to go to an Ivy League school. Like I said, his pediatrician said he is just a very mature child. And I kind of felt lucky raising him because it was quite easy. And so the process was fun. I challenged him of why he wanted to do it. I encouraged him that he did have a gift of wanting to make people feel better. That was very natural to him. He's a pleaser like I am. And so for us, it was just, he was really strong academically in math and science. And so it just kind of screamed to us that he needed to lean into that because it was enjoyable and it came easy and it fit with our family, really is focused on community service. And so my children have been doing service with me for as long as they've been walking. And so it was kind of the next step of serving their community, only both of them made it into a career. And I find it's interesting because I am needle phobic. I am terrified of hospitals. And so I joke that maybe they did it so I wouldn't visit them at work.
Is this something that you've been your whole life, or was there an experience that turned you off of needles?
Oh gosh, my mom can tell me stories of holding me down as a toddler. But she did say there was one event where I got a shot and I got black and blue and it hurt to the touch. So it was just a bad, a bad situation. And she said from that moment on, I just was scared of needles, just that one event.
Mm,
Interesting enough, both of my children who are now doctor and nurse were terrified of needles. And I think that was because of me.
mm,
So every time they had to get a shot, I'd be like, it's going to be okay. Don't worry. I'm here. And I probably made a bigger deal about it than it needed to be. And so I never thought they would go into the field they did because I would have to hold them down to give, the doctor to give them shots. So it is ironic that now both of them do surgery and needles and work in hospitals.
Do you think that the relationship between your son and daughter, like, also motivated your daughter to pursue a career in the medical field as well, once your son had started down that path?
I've never really put a ton of thought into that. She admires her brother like nobody else in the world. So the fact that she is pursuing something in the similar field, probably he has something to do with it. But I do think it comes back to they both were camp counselors. They both really enjoyed helping children. And so I don't think it's that far of a stretch. And they were both really good at math and science. So for them, I think they leaned into the easy and the strength. And then they're just like, well, shoot, I can have fun and make money. And my daughter says all the time, like, I get to take sick babies and have them go home healthy. Like, it doesn't get better than that. So I think maybe that's part of it. But I'm guessing my son's decision probably played into her decision. I've never asked them.
Yeah, yeah. And what about like through high school with them? You said that they're both really good at math and science. Was it ever a struggle for you as their mom when they're in academics and you're off? Okay, I'm making a lot of assumptions here, and that's not great of me. But I'm going to assume as a professional photographer
Mhm.
that you are a creative, artistic, especially with the visionary and the organizing tendencies.
Mm.
And so you tend to see things big picture
Mhm.
and kind of taking in all of the possibilities.
Sure.
Whereas if I'm assuming because their strengths are math and science that they
Mhm.
are very to the point, facts
Yes.
only,
Yes.
so was it ever a struggle for you kind of getting them through middle school and high school? Was it ever, I mean, it doesn't sound like it was an area of contention at all in the mother parent child
Mm-mm.
relationship, but was it was it a struggle for you to like maintain the cheerleader attitude in that, or what was that like?
I don't think so. I'd have to ask them, but
Mm,
what I was able to do is I would be able to create a vision for them about what was attainable. And I believed it, so they believed it. And so, really, the only struggle was when my son was in fifth grade, he had already outpaced me in math. And that was the struggle. I'm like, I can't help you anymore. So, we're getting a tutor. So, that was our only struggle is his frustration that I was unable to help him at such an early age. But keep in mind, he was already doing high school math in fifth grade. And so for me, I was not prepared for that. I mean, I met the qualifications of college and I graduated with honors, but he took it to a whole nother level. And he's very, to this day, very left brain, very logical. But he also appreciated the vision that I set. And I always made life fun. Our life
mm,
is never people are like, "He went to Harvard." I mean, that's crazy. They're all intense. And I'm like, really not. He played soccer. He had friends. We played in the pool. Like, we traveled a lot. And I just thought the world was our place of education. And so even though I didn't homeschool, I provided them with opportunities and what I couldn't give them, I supplemented. I
mm,
had people come and help him. And my son luckily helped my daughter and she was willing to accept his help. So it was really just knowing my strengths and knowing my weaknesses as a parent and being okay with it. I mean, we
yeah.
joke about it now, but at the time, it was painful when my son would get frustrated that I couldn't help him, and it was real.
Hmm. So let's kind of dig into the frustration and pain point a little bit because you help students connect to the best college with the best resources at their fingertips. A lot of times when parents are in that season where they're getting ready to launch their high schooler to college, and there's all the prep work, all the applications, all the tests, all the scholarship forms. Like if you didn't have your social security number memorized on day one of that school year, you will by the end. You'll be saying it in your sleep kind of thing.
Sure.
And that whole process can be so overwhelming
Mm,
to the point where a lot of people do only what their guidance counselor tells them to do,
mhm,
or if if their friends are going to a certain place, maybe that's where they'll apply just because they don't even know where to start.
sure.
And here you shared this story where you got your son into Harvard on 7 scholarships where he was attending for free. Like in only from my own college experience, my kids aren't there yet. So only from my own college experience, I'm just like, say what now? How is that possible? And you as their mom paving the way for that. I wanna hear all about this. How did that happen, Shellee?
Oh, I believe it started in third grade. So I won't make it forever detailed and long, but I do want to make parents aware how early this process can be fun. So it really started when my son was in third grade. We used to he loved science and art museums. He just, anything he can build and create. And so I used to take my kids like a lot of parents, right? You go to these places and you experience. Well, we were visiting family on the East Coast and I was like, "Hey, we're here in Massachusetts. We're here in Boston. We're here in Cambridge. Like, why don't we just stop and see what Harvard's like?" And so literally it was that much thought. And so we went and we walked around, and I will never forget in third grade. And he walked into the freshman dining hall and he says, "Wow, this is the most amazing place I am ever going to go to school." Like he just called it. He's like, "This is Hogwarts. This is Harry Potter. This is amazing." Like he knew that he belonged. I didn't say a word. I didn't talk about how hard it was to get in. I didn't say it. We didn't go on a big tour. We literally just explored like we would any other art museum. And then we went to MIT and he's like, "Oh no, nope, this is definitely not what I want to do." And I'm like, how does he know that at such a young age? Right. I was like blown away. At this point, I was a photographer. I had no idea what this was all about, but I'm like, this is kind of interesting that he feels connected. My daughter was still too young. She was 4 years younger. Then fifth grade came, and his teacher said, "I want to move him ahead a grade." And I said, "No, no, no, no. Nope, we're not doing that because I was a scholar athlete. I played softball for the USA, and I was not willing to have him skip a grade and be a young athlete." That's where my mind was. I'm like, "No,
Mm.
he'll be small, he'll be slow." Like, "No." And she's like, "That's just kind of odd. I'm giving you this opportunity and you're telling me no." And I said, "I am in no hurry for him to grow up. I'm totally fine with just letting him enjoy being him." And then it came in seventh grade, and his teacher said, "You really need to start thinking about high school and a school that's going to be able to challenge him." And I'm like, "He is being challenged. He's getting all A's and he's good." And they're like, "No, no, no, no. You don't understand. Like he's going to need some more challenges." And here I thought, I didn't even like school. And now they're telling me my child is going to need more challenges. And so I thought, all right, I better listen to the wisdom. And so I took him to different high schools and I'm like, "What do you think?" Like that's how much effort went into it at this point. And he's like, "This school, I like this school, and I can walk to this school and I can ride my bike to this school, and the friends on my street go to this school. So I think this is my high school." And I'm like, "Very good then." And at the time, I had no idea that the high school he was at had been there for 25 years. It's a large public high school, and they never had anybody go Ivy League. Never, ever in 25 years. And I didn't even ask the questions. I didn't know as a parent like that was something important. So here we are, and now we're going into high school, and he drops on me, "Mom, I want to be a brain surgeon." So what did I do? I went to his high school counselor and I said, "Please tell her what you told me." And he says, "So I want to be a brain surgeon. I want to go to an Ivy League school." Very simple. And she goes, "Why would you waste your time or money doing that? They don't make any money anymore." And that's the look I gave her. Eyebrows up, going, "How dare you?"
A guidance
A
counselor?
guidance counselor. Yes. And this is going into ninth grade. So he's so young, right? And he looks at me and he goes, "Mom, really?" And I'm like, I can't believe that she just said that. I go, "I think we're done." And I said, "We're going to leave now." And we're walking out the door and he's like, "Mom, now what?" Like, he's like, "Oh my gosh." And we just had the one bridge and now we have no bridge. And that's when I realized that as much as I think high school counselors are amazing, there's some really good ones. I have great friends that are doing that profession. They're dealing with mental health, they're dealing with truancy, they're dealing with a lot of other stuff. And for a student who's getting all A's, they're just like, "Hey, they're good. Like, leave them alone. They'll be fine." That's not what you need if you have a child who's asking you, "What do I do? How do I prepare? This is my dream. I didn't make the dream. I just tried to help my kid." That's when I went back to school. And that's when I said, I got to be my son's advocate, like I did with his pediatrician, like I did for kindergarten, like, right? And it was just, I knew that he needed help. And there wasn't anybody like me at the time that I could find. I mean, there wasn't internet like there is now, right? So it was truly me asking people, and nobody that I knew had gone Ivy. And so I was in a desperate place of, if I don't figure it out, I'm going to let him down. There's not too many parents who are going to take that real easy. And me, for one, being a visionary, I'm like, well, guess it's up to me now. And so that's what I did. But really, to answer your question, it depends on the child. You know, child one was so unique and beautiful, and child number two was so unique and beautiful. And they both ended up at the perfect university, and they both doing the perfect career. And I think ultimately, college is just the stepping stone to life. It's not the end game.
Hmm.
So it's about raising young people to be wonderful adults. And to me, that's what I was setting out to do. It really wasn't the brand name or the career. It was, how do I help my kid be great?
Yeah. Yeah. And so tell me how that developed then, because you know your own children.
Sure.
You have been feeding them, raising them, patting their bottoms, changing their diapers from day one. So it's got to be more intuitive for you to help your own kids. But how does that translate then into helping other people, or today, maybe even complete strangers?
For sure. So I've been now helping families for 18 years. And I remember I did it for free for about the first 6 months. And I loved it. I love teenagers. I didn't care for babysitting. I'm not going to lie. The baby stage was not my gift. But when it came to inspiring teenagers, I would coach other children's kids in a sport that weren't even mine. I didn't have kids yet. So I have been leaning into other people's teenagers since I've been a teenager.
Hmm.
So I think that was kind of the easy part is I speak teenager, or some may say I just never grew up. I don't know. But I don't judge, and I love their open mind and their advocacy, and they're willing to stand up for what they believe. And I love that they don't hold back or try to be fake. All of these things are wonderful, and parents are like, "You're nuts." So for me, what I had to learn was my value that I offered these families. So I went back and I got my counseling degree. So I knew that I had all of the book smarts I needed to be able to support them. And then I became a certified independent college strategist, which meant I now knew exactly what I needed to do to help them get accepted to college. So I knew all the book stuff. And now I am like, okay, so let's make it play out. Well, here's the thing that not very many people know. My son and I made a bet. When he got into USC full ride, I was so excited. I bought the sweatshirt and learned the fight song. What most people don't know is I didn't want him to go to Harvard because that was very far from mom. And so I'm like, "Are you sure you need to go to Boston?" And he's like, "Mom, it's my dream. It's Harvard." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm supposed to support you." So I was having a lot of conflict. But when Harvard flew us out there for our visit and we were walking along the Charles River together, and I could see his heart was so full. And he's like, "Mom, I want to row crew. I want to be part of this. I want to be all in." it still gives me chills. I'm like, how can I stop him from something he wants so desperately? And when he decided to go to Harvard, he said, Mom, when I graduate debt free and you take you get to celebrate in my success, I want you to write a book for other students on exactly how we did it. And I'm like, I don't even like to write. I told you I don't even enjoy school. And he's like, Mom, people need this. They need to know. And I said, sure, sure. Yeah. Graduate 4 years debt free. Yeah, no problem at all. And when he crossed the stage at graduation and he handed me his Harvard diploma, he said, Mom, where's the book? And that was the catalyst. So I wrote a book, became a bestseller in 24 hours. That was my first book. And then I just launched my second best-selling book, and it was a bestseller in 8 hours. And I
Hold
will
up.
tell you, it's just because I wanted to help. That is it.
Hold up. All right. So you don't like school. Your son says, Mom, where's your book? How long did it take you to write the book?
So because I felt bad that I didn't keep my end of the deal, I actually stopped working for 3 months, and I worked on it full time for 3 months, and I published. So I did about 60 hours a week for 3 months. And it was basically a brain dump. I had everything in my mind. I
Mm-hmm.
just needed to get it on paper that made sense to left brain and right brain people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really getting it out and then getting it formatted. And I had wonderful assistants. I don't take credit for my editor. She was amazing. And so, the person who did my graphics on my cover, she was amazing. But really, it was the first time that my son had held me accountable to really helping people in a big way. And so now I give the book to anybody who can't afford any college help. And it's very important that every child, in my opinion, has the foundation to be able to do what I did for my son. And so I think it goes back to my serving my community. It's not about the money. It's about helping teenagers be the very best they can be. And that's what brings me joy.
Hmm. So when families seek you out and come to you, what is your approach? Is it experience? Is it intuition? Is it a combination of it? How do you dial in to how you can best serve the college bound teen?
So, first and foremost is getting to know the child. I do not take every child. If I get on a call with a student and I say, so tell me, why do you want to go to college? And they're like, I don't. Okay, well, it's been nice chatting with you, and I wish you all the best. I'm not here to twist anybody's arm or to force anything on anybody. That's number one in my rule, and I've never broken that rule. But over 18 years of meeting with families and helping thousands navigate the process, the first thing I do is I talk to the child. I talk to the student. We help students now in seventh and eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, college transfers. And it's always the same thing for me. I simply ask them, what do you enjoy? What's important to you? What are the things that get you excited? And I just talk to them. And what I have found out is, as long as their parent allows them to speak, I can get to know very quickly, is this them who wants this process, or is this somebody else who wants this process? And then I have to navigate what that looks like, because you can provide a teenager with everything and they have no desire and it's not getting done. So, first thing, you have to have buy in. If you have a student who does not see the value of going to college, or the value of the career they want, or the value of why we're having a conversation, then it's going to be a battle all the way through. So I just start with that at the very first. Then I help them really navigate what is unique about them. And this is hard for a young student, right? Think of your 15-year-old. I think you said you had a 15-year-old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell parents, think of your child. You think of them unique to the way their friends think of them, to the way their teachers think of them. So I simply ask the student that I'm chatting with, and their parents are sitting there like blown away. They have never heard these answers before, right? And I say, what would your best friend tell me about you? Whoa, there's some good information. What would a teacher tell me about you? And they're like, oh, well, da 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 da. And they get really excited about that teacher they love. And then you're like, ooh, there's a good subject for them. And then I say, what would your parents tell your grandparents about you? And they're like, oh, and they just melt and they're like, it's so embarrassing. Right. So I just allow them to be them and help me understand who they are and how I can best serve them. Then I use my superpower of being a visionary and my superpower of being an entrepreneur, and I create their own standout strategy. And then I have a team of 11. I have a village that supports them, from test prep to academic plans to passion with a purpose project to essay editing to financial scholarships, lowering their student aid index, to becoming a leader, to getting national awards, to being part of our nonprofit organization. So I listen and then I'm like, what do you think? And if they're like, I move on. The brilliant thing is, I have more ideas than they could ever possibly say no to. I've never had a student be able to outknow me. And at some point, you can see their eyes light up. They sit up taller. Their expression is leaning in, and they're like, that sounds amazing. And now you know that is them. How do you make them great? You lean into who they are. And that's what I did with my own, and that's what I do with other people's. It's not something that you can just, read about and make happen. It doesn't work like that. They're humans and they have human responses.
Yeah. That's so key, I think, in a motherhood experience episode 2, because if you hadn't have started there and been able to achieve and accomplish that with your own children, you would not have had the foundation to expand this service to other families as well.
110%. Like I always say, this business happened to me. I did not go out seeking that I wanted to do this for other people. I
Yeah.
found joy in it. They loved it. We're 79% referral based still to this day, which means my clients love it. And so we just keep doing it. And my team has been with me, oh my gosh, 10 plus years. We all love it. It's like our playground and we have fun while impacting teenagers.
Yeah. So I have maybe an out of the box question for you, maybe not. But you spend a lot of your time coaching teens, young adults into pursuing the best possible future for them.
Mm.
What would you say, though, to the mom who, I mean, the variables are innumerable.
Mhm.
Maybe they're not as close to their kids as you were to yours. Maybe the situation is they want something different than what their child wants for themselves. Maybe, I mean, on and on and on the variables go. But
Sure.
what would you say to any mom who deep down, regardless of what the situation is, what the variables are, wants the absolute best for her child, but has no idea where to start in helping their child achieve it?
Let me put it into a bit of a metaphor because it might help. Being a mom is so emotional. And of course, we want what's best for our children. So I never assume a parent doesn't. Even if they want something different for their child than they do, they think it's for their best. So sometimes it's easier to think about it this way. If you wanted to sell your house or buy a house, would you try to do it on your own? No. If you wanted to get your taxes done, would you try to do it on your own? No. Okay. Are you starting to follow me?
Yeah.
We don't have to be great at everything. Remember when I said I started getting my son math tutoring in in elementary school? Very humbling.
Mhm.
Yes, a college graduate. But I knew that I didn't want to mess him up. And I knew that I wasn't the best person for the job. Could I have been? Sure. Did I want to? Not at all. Just like we give them coaching lessons for the sport or the instrument, right? You could do that, but are you the best person? So I just want you parents to realize you have a lot of hats to wear. This is not a hat you also need to wear. It is okay to seek support in something, and then you can be great at the thing you do to be able to pay for that support. And that is how I believe life gets really much easier as a parent.
Hmm. That's pretty profound. Thank you, Shellee, for going there because that was, I think, probably the mothers in their heart know that answer. But like I say so many times, it takes someone else saying it
Mm,
for it to really hit home and land,
sure.
regardless of what they know or think they know.
Many
So thank,
times. Yeah,
yeah.
many times I will say something to a student and the parent is pulling their hair out going, I have said that exact same thing to you 5 million times and now you think it's a brilliant idea. And I just chuckle like you are. I'm like, yes, I'm a parent. I have done the same thing. So remember, you're raising great people to be great adults. And sometimes as a parent, we have to do some hard stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you also, circling back now a little ways into the conversation, you have, I think, young 20s are your stepchildren right
Yes.
now. So did you have any role in helping them get situated with their college journey?
It was interesting. They became part of my family when my stepson was going into high school as a freshman and my stepdaughter was going into eighth grade. So they came and lived with myself and my husband, and I raised them. So I personally got to step in as their primary caregiver. And so, yes, I played a very big part in what that future looked like for them. And it was interesting because I came in where most people would be like, "Are you kidding me? You raised somebody else's teenagers? Are you nuts?" And we all loved it. Again, I just went in with, "Hey, I'm not here to be your mom. I'm just here to love and support you. And how can I help?" And it was beautiful. And they both now have graduated debt free, and they said thank you to me, and they're grateful for really helping them navigate who they are and what mattered to them because they were not clear on that prior.
Hmm.
So I think that was the biggest difference that I could make is I allowed them to verbalize what they liked and what they didn't like and had zero judgment. It was a very
Yeah.
safe place, and so as a stepmom, they used to call me Sunny for being their sunshine. I always was the person who was like, "Okay, but what if?"
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet. And
Yeah.
what a testament to your relationship with them as well. So, as we wrap up here, and I'm thinking, my daughter's part of a youth group, and there's so many teenagers in our lives, like outside of our immediate home and everything. And at some point, if they haven't already, they're going to be wondering about this and
Mhm.
wanting to get things situated. So, how can people learn more about you, about what you offer, and get in touch with you?
So, first, I want to help parents understand timing because really, timing's the most important piece. Everybody who went to college thinks they're going to start in the junior or senior year. That was 20, 30 years ago, maybe even longer, where we used to put a postal stamp and send our applications in. Just like that has changed, college has changed. Now it is strictly critical if you want scholarships at all, you need to do it by the sophomore year because the FAFSA looks at the second semester of the sophomore year and the first semester of the junior year. So
Hmm.
it's not Shellee's plan, it's the plan. So I want parents who are listening thinking, oh, my kids, we have plenty of time. It's not like that. So I just want not to make you stressed, but to give you encouragement that waiting is not going to be helpful. That's number one. So how the best way to really belong in learning this is if they go to collegereadyplan.com. So it has plan in it for a reason, because if you don't plan, you plan to fail. This is not a second chance opportunity we're talking about here. Transferring into a college is so much harder than going straight in from a high school. So, and as a gift to your listeners, if they go to collegereadyplan.info, they can get 30 minutes with me where I can either help chat with their teenager and they can listen, or we can talk about how I can support them, or even if here are some things I see as opportunities. And if they're like, nope, don't want to do that, I have so many free resources I'm happy to give you. Or you can go to Amazon and buy either of my best-selling books. So whatever your comfort is, parents, as long as you're doing something, that's all you need to be doing.
That's a good word. Shellee Howard, thank you so much for everything you shared with me and my listeners on the Motherhood Experience podcast. I appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the Motherhood Experience podcast. To join our exclusive TME community, head over to themotherhoodexperience.com/learn more. Be sure to follow the Motherhood Experience on Facebook or Instagram, and please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment below, and we'll catch you next time.